This is a note-taking guide for math for life. This is in the probability unit, and we're doing day 5. The topic today is two-way frequency tables and probability. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this probability table over here, or this frequency table, and we're going to just look at what it's telling us to do. So this direction, if we're looking across this row, we're talking about males, and then we're also talking about females. If we look at the other direction on our frequency table, then we would be looking up and down right here, which is the number of people who own SUVs, and then the number of people who own sports cars. So really what we're looking at here is that if we're looking at this group of numbers right here, that 21 right there, then that would be a male who owns a sports car. I mean an SUV, a sports utility vehicle. If I was looking at this number right here, this would be a female who owns a sports car. Other totals would be, this would be the total of people who own a sports car. This would be the total of males that were asked what kind of vehicle they owned. So lots to see on this chart. What we're going to do now is use this frequency table to answer questions about the probabilities of something happen. So number 1 says, what is the probability of a female owning a sports car? So I want to look across the female column, which is right here. So that's my total number of females over here on the end. The total number of females is 180. And the probability of a female owning a sports car would be 45 out of 180. So we're going to write that probability over here, 45 out of 180. And then we're going to use our calculators to reduce that probability. So just use that fraction key on your calculator, put 45 on the top of the fraction and 180 on the bottom, and let it reduce it for you. The fraction that reduces to be is 1/4. So the probability of a female owning a sports car is 1 out of 4. Okay, if we're going to take a look at number 2 now, we're going to just look at a different part of our probability chart. So let's see what we're looking at this time. Number 2 says, what is the probability of a male owning an SUV? So again, we're looking at the male column because it said what's the probability of a male owning an SUV. So then we're looking at the SUV column right here. So the probability of a male owning an SUV will be 21 out of 60. So you would do 21 divided by 60 on your calculator, and it would give you the probability of that actually happening. So when you reduce it on your calculator, it tells you that that is 7 over 20 is what that reduces to be. So the probability of a male owning an SUV is 7 out of 20. Number 3 says, what is the probability of an SUV owner being female? So this time we're going to be looking at the SUV owners. So sports utility owners are right here down this column. So we're kind of just looking at this column right here. What's the probability of an SUV owner being female? Well, here's the female column right here. So the probability of an SUV owner being female is 135. Out of the total females, or the total SUV owners, which is 156. You can punch that on your calculator really fast to see if that will reduce. If you do 135 over top of 156, it reduces to 45 over 52. So 45 over 52 would be your solution. Number 4 says, what is the probability of a car owner being female? Well, when we look at this, how many car owners are there total? There's a total of 240 car owners. how many of them are female? That's 180. So you're going to do 180 over 240, and then just reduce that on your calculator. 180 over 240 reduces to 3 over 4. Last question on this one says, how many car owners are there in total? Well, the total car owners would be 240. Don't have to find a probability this time. We just had to find the actual number, and the actual number of car owners, or the number of people that were asked what kind of car they owned, was 240. So that's kind of how we read a two-way frequency table. This time we're going to see if we can fill it out on our own and then answer the questions as well. So Felipe surveyed students at his school. He found that 78 students own a cell phone, and 57 of those students own an MP3 player. There are 13 students that do not own a cell phone but own an MP3 player. 9 students do not own either device. Construct a two-way frequency table summarizing the data. So I'm just going to kind of go and fill this out the way that it says. So the very first thing it says is that 78 students own a cell phone. So we know total on the cell phones over here is going to be 78. It says of those students, 57 of those students own an MP3 player. So of the ones that own a cell phone, 57 of them also own the MP3 player. There are 13 students that do not own a cell phone but own an MP3 player. So 13 would go right here because they don't own the cell phone, but they own the MP3 player. 9 students do not own either device. So no cell phone, no MP3 player would be 9, which is right here. I think that's all the information that they gave us. So now we're just going to do our addition on our frequency table and finish filling out the chart on our own. So I can come this direction right here because I know to find that number of people that have no MP3 player, I can just do 78 minus 57, and when I do that I get 21. So this number right here that's missing is 21. And that makes it really easy to add down this direction now because I know 21 plus 9 is 30. I can also go a couple of different directions here. So let's come and go down straight here. 57 plus 13 is 70. So that number right there is 70. And I can go across the other direction now. So 13 plus 9, this direction, will be 22. And then the last one, it should add up to the same number either direction, and it does. It adds up to 100. So once we have that chart all filled out, then we're just going to answer these questions at the bottom of the chart. Number 1 says, what is the probability of being a student that owns a cell phone and does not have an MP3 player? So I'm looking for owning a cell phone and not owning an MP3 player. So let's try and decide which numbers we're looking at here. We own a cell phone, which is this direction, and we do not own an MP3 player. So the one that is do not own an MP3 player would be 21, and that would be out of the total right here, which would be 78. So 21 divided by 78 on my calculator. See if that reduces at all, and it does. It reduces to 7 over 26. So my solution for number 1 is 7 over 26. Number 2 says, what is the probability of being a student that does not own a cell phone or an MP3 player? So no cell phone, no MP3 player, that's this number right here, which is 9. And we're going to go 9 out of a total of 100 students. So 9 out of 100 for our solution. Number 3 says, how many students are there? Well, we can tell the total down here in the corner. There are 100 different students that we asked about their MP3 players and cell phones. Number 4 says, how many have an MP3 player. So how many students have an MP3 player? That would be at the bottom of the MP3 player column, which is 70. And then number 5, the last question we're going to do today, says what is the probability that a student owns an MP3 player? So here's the total number of students who own an MP3 player, that's 70. And then out of the total number of students, which is 100, I'm going to let my calculator reduce that for me, and that's going to reduce to 7/10. All right, so again, today these are called frequency tables. They're two-way frequency tables because not only do you add this direction across the rows, but you also have to add this direction down the columns in order to get your probabilities to work out. So thanks for watching and good luck on your homework.